Yep, yep. Kotaku, gonna have to give you some credit here, and then we're also gonna be critiquing Kotaku. Because if you haven't figured out, Mondays are my more CBR Kotaku days, because I'll just do my videos, and I kind of like these. Let's go over what the heck Kotaku and CBR have been talking about. This, however, is a mixed bag. And it is finally time to say goodbye to the young boy Ash Ketchum and Pikachu, for they will be moving on to new stories. Well, no longer new stories. Their time in the spotlight has come to an end after 25 years. The anime will be changing their approach to new characters, and I'm curious how it goes, and we'll see what happens. The Pokemon franchise has tried this before, and I cannot remember what the series was called, but they made a sort of short series dealing on different adventures here or there. It was more of an anthology series. Came out a couple years ago, but they did one starring the characters from the Johto games. And though that the two, I think it was a 2-part episode, maybe it was a 3-part episode, did relatively good. The anime has been focused on Ash and Pikachu for 25 years, but even in the manga, they've gone from character to character to character, dealing with other characters. They've dealt with Green, they've dealt with Pearl and Diamond, characters from Sinnoh. Their actual proper names, not Dawn or anything like that, but Pearl and Diamond. They've dealt with other characters before, so this is not really a change to Pokemon as a whole, but it's a change to the Pokemon anime. And it's time to send our send-offs to Ash. As much as I don't want to say goodbye, it's the reality. The Pokemon anime is leaving Ash and Pikachu behind after 25 years. After a championship win, the next season of the anime is waving goodbye to the duo. Last month, longtime Pokemon anime protagonist Ash Ketchum finally became the top trainer in the world after defeating Galar champion Leon in the Masters 8 tournament. That's right. It was all over Twitter. Everybody got to see it. Everybody was happy about it, but at the same time, they were curious, what's next? I mean, technically, Ash has finally become the Pokemon Master and has finally become this thing that he's wanted. He's reached it. So what happens next? Well, it's time to say adieu. It's time. Well, adieu? No. Au revoir. It's time to say goodbye. Vamonos. So long. Farewell. Avida saying goodbye. It was the culmination of a 25-year arc for the anime, with Ash and his partner Pokemon Pikachu finally being crowned the champion after years of crushing defeats. Full stop real quick. The show was dealing with Ash and teaching you, hey, sometimes it's okay to lose. You're not going to move on all the way, and sometimes that's going to happen. Okay, it's a trend in anime, from Yu-Gi-Oh! To Pokemon, that winning isn't everything and learning how to be a good sport even when you lose. Ash has come pretty far. Ash has made it to the final rounds before this and before Sun and Moon. Roughly 2 times, I want to say, he's made it to semifinals. He's made it to the semifinals and then the final round, and he's been very close before. This is just him finally getting that point, finally reaching it. So, crushing defeats, not really. It's been growing. Heck, he technically became the champion during the Orange Islands, so. Now that Ash has accomplished what he set out to do in the first episode back in 1997. Ooh, God, same age as me. What's next for him and Pikachu? It sounds like a walk into the sunset, as it's just been announced the next season of the Pokemon anime will introduce 2 brand new central protagonists in his stead. That's right, we have 2 new characters, and they're right here. We will be following these 2, Liko and Roy. Curious how it goes. And before somebody cries, woke, it's following a girl, woke, woke, I can't tell you that until I see the series. Anime has a unique style. The Pokemon Company is a little woke here and there, same with Nintendo, but they're different. Ash's story will conclude with 11 special episodes next year. That will also cap off the current Pokemon Journeys, the series. These episodes will start rolling out on January 13th in Japan, and will feature returning friends and familiar faces like Brock and Misty and Gary. Actually, the trailer's right here. I'm not going to watch it on here because I don't know the copyright stuff and all that. But Gary's coming back. Gary's the one that kind of sends him off. He returns to Kanto. He sees Ash, Misty again. He sees Brock. He's going to interact with these people again for their final goodbye. Plus, there's interactions, and this is a minor spoiler if you don't want it, so farewell. There in the trailer, there's a Latias. And considering if you go back to Diamond and Pearl, the competitor that beat him, that only had to use 2 Pokemon, used a Darkrai and a Latios. This might be Ash catching Latias. We might see Ash get a legendary or a mythic. Get a Pokemon extremely powerful. I think that would be a great send-off. Have Ash get one of these super powerful Pokemon to send him off. To say, hey, he's going to be going on to become the full-on Pokemon master of the world. And maybe he comes back in this series. I don't know. Brock and Misty, the original buddies who accompanied Ash in the early seasons of the show. All this will make way for the next season, starring new protagonists called Liko and Roy in the Japanese version. So I don't know how they're going to do it. I am curious. Let's see. But it's time for Ash to go on. Not much is known about these new characters, but they'll be accompanied by Pokemon Scarlet and Violet starters, Sprigatito, Fuecoco, and Quaxley. That's what we're seeing here. I don't know if they're actually going to be accompanied by all 3 of them. That's just what we see here, and that's basically it. We haven't seen who's going to have what Pokemon, what they're going to be doing. This is really the only image we've got so far. The trailer ends on this. So I don't know how the Sprigatito and all these guys are going to interact. Following the news, longtime Ash voice actress Rika Matsumoto and Sarah Nakachini, I'm probably saying that wrong, posted their own tribute to the character online, with Sarah saying, "No matter what lies beyond his chapter, he'll live forever in the hearts of many generations to come." And yes, actually, he will. And I'm about to give Kotaku some credit for some of their next lines, and I full on agree. Ash will forever live on in our hearts. He has properly run his course. He will finally be able to grow up and live his life. He will finally be able to move on. We will finally see him move on. Now, is this going to be good for the show? I don't know. Will people be able to connect to the new characters the way they've been able to connect to Ash? Or is this the final end for the Pokemon anime? That is yet to be seen. Curious where they're going to go, though. While it is probably a good thing that the Pokemon anime to shake things up after over 2 decades of following Ash and Pikachu around the world, yeah, you gotta shake some things up. They tried it in Black and White. Did a soft reboot. Black and White, I did not like the beginning. Throughout the middle, I kind of liked it. Come up to the Pokemon League, I was, oh my god, are you serious? Because they kind of made Ash a dum-dum again. They reverted him back to age 10. They said, hey, he's age 10. They continued on doing their thing, and then they kind of turned him into a moron. He didn't know how to catch Pokemon again. After making it to the semifinals and freaking Diamond and Pearl, like he almost made it. He made it super far. He lost to the guy who won. So I didn't like it there. So they've tried to shake things up before. They shook things up with Sun and Moon. Wasn't a huge fan of it. Because I was not a huge fan of Sun and Moon, period. Awesome intro, just not a huge fan. I liked Pokemon Journeys for the most part because it went back to what kind of makes Ash, this Pokemon story, special. And Ash doing the battles, Ash going around, Ash having a goal and everything, and not just jumping from spot to spot to spot. It was actually kind of good. But it's the fall shakeup now. It's kind of another soft reboot, but not really a soft reboot. It's something that Pokemon Company kind of needs for the anime, that is. But also the animes have done their own little things. They've put out shorts on YouTube. They've done their own little anthology series. So this isn't new. It's just new to the actual main series. Man, this hurts. It's time to say goodbye, so it doesn't hurt that much. But for some people, it does hurt. Having these two characters be a longtime fixture in Pokemon has made them a touchstone for every fan. Yeah. There's no fan of Pokemon that doesn't know of Ash Ketchum, that didn't want to be Ash Ketchum at one point, that didn't idolize him in some form, because he also represented that, hey, it's okay to lose. Get back up, try again. Get back up, try again. Get back up, try again. Ash is the Pokemon for a lot of people. And for several generations to come, he will still be Pokemon, because people will sit down and say, hey, let's watch Indigo League together. Hey, let's watch the beginnings of this whole series together with their kids. That's the beauty of these shows, is when we get to go back and share it with our kids. Share it with the younger generations. Young and old. We even saw how much people cared about Ash's rise to the champion when it happened, as fans who had long stopped watching the anime were posting congratulatory statements about how proud they were of the never-aging 10-year-old. Yeah, he never aged. But now that he's a Pokemon master, there's not much left to do with the story. So maybe now that Pokemon anime can set its sights on new stories that help it explore the world in a new context. No, what context? What? Okay, so now we're getting into the points of Kotaku that I disagree with. Because what context are you talking about? What are you saying? That there's not very many different contexts to the world of Pokemon. World of Pokemon has been pretty much explored. We just get new characters and see if they're going to connect with the fans the same way as Ash did. That's it. Like, what context is there? Catching Pokemon, exploring the world, exploring the lore of every region, doing that's pretty much all there is. So what contexts are you talking about? Well, they try to give examples, but even their two examples are kind of piss poor. That seems to be an overarching theme for Pokemon right now. Oh, bad take. Because they're going to start going to the games, and the games are Game Freak. They're licensed to Game Freak, and Game Freak licenses it out to other people just to help make the games. But the games don't really follow the anime, so as even the games, Game Freak, have shifted their stories to aspects of the universe that go beyond competitive sport. Well, there are two examples. One of them isn't fair because it builds on a lore of Sinnoh and does change up the franchise to a major amount, that it focuses more on catching, building the Pokédex, and doing things like that I thought was fun. And Scarlet and Violet, that still has a competitive sport to it. Both Pokemon Legends Arceus, which was the time bend where you finally got to catch Arceus for the first time in a game, also was more based on building the Pokédex, had its own story, had its own event, had battles, but focused more on, hey, catch all the Pokemon to build the Pokédex. That was the story. It was the prequel to most Pokemon Journeys. It was the prequel to Sinnoh. It had characters from previous regions that we just explored. Their ancestors were in it. That's what made it kind of fun and made it different. It was a change up that the games kind of needed. So don't say that this could be a different context because the Journeys did this. Journeys do have a special where they went back in time to Hisui. So, yeah. And Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Well, there is a competitive bent to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. There is a Pokemon League. There is battles. There is just different aspects to the battling. There's also a past and future aspect. It's not the same, so you can't really use Pokemon Scarlet and Violet for this next point. Had stories that weren't so fixated on being a Pokemon League champion. One of the main stories was Pokemon League champion, becoming a champion ranked character, champion ranked student. So yes, there was a fixation on the Pokemon League. So no Kotaku. It just had two other stories alongside it. One that was focused on the Team Star and the Starfall. And the other one was focused on the Herba Mystica, but they both had their own unique stories. I'm not saying what the stories were based around, in case you still want to play the games. I might do a review myself, because I did like the games. I have criticisms, though. But no, they were not. You're right that they weren't solely focused on the league, but the league still was an important part. You couldn't get to the final round without doing the final story, without doing the league. And the final story was a heartbreaking story, actually. And yet I still have criticisms for it. And they were much more compelling for it. No, they still followed a similar Pokemon storyline. A lot of Pokemon games touch on different aspects of the world. You go to... because I'm trying to think where to start this off. Started off, Pokemon League, catch all 150 Pokemon, 151, take on Team Rocket. It did that again in Gold and Silver, which was supposed to be the ultimate round-off for the franchise. It was supposed to be only 2 games. But it became so popular that they did Ruby and Sapphire go up against technically eco-terrorists. So let's be real, but still had Pokemon League, eco-terrorists, build the Pokedex. Unique story about the creation of the world. Move forward to Generation 4. You had a story about the building of the universe and the god aspects and things of that nature. So Pokemon is not so fond of not touching on some compelling stories. Black and White and Black and White 2 had possibly one of the greatest stories in Pokemon's franchise. Dealing with ideals and realities. Dealing with these themes. Dealing with should Pokemon be forced to battle. Going up against PETA and then going up against pirate terrorist people again. It was a unique story that Pokemon has not been shy of going near. So you can't say, well, these games were more compelling for not solely focusing on the for the Pokemon League. Well, no, the other games didn't solely focus on the Pokemon League. They focused on other aspects. Actually, they haven't focused on the Pokemon League since, for lack of a better example, Gold and Silver. They focused on other things. The Pokemon League is just the way to go from the linear path while there's the other story unfolding. That's the reality. So, as sad as it is to say goodbye, maybe Ash needed to accomplish his goals. Well, eventually, everything has to come to an end. So the anime can find new ones. Well, I mean, the anime's also changed. Like I pointed out earlier, Sun and Moon, Black and White was a change-up. Sun and Moon was a radical change-up. Pokemon Journeys was a change-up. They've been changing throughout the whole time. You're just not smart enough to realize that. You're just too short-sighted to think, well, this is the first time they've changed anything. No, they've done changes before. I go to the manga. The manga is focused on other stories. Actually, in the manga, Pokemon die. They actually off Pokemon. And they've had the anthology series. They've had other characters that do other things. So this is not something new to a lot of people. This is new to some of the fans that have only seen the show here in America, but it's still not super new. This is still something. It's different. I'm not going to deny that. We're saying goodbye to Ash, but they've focused on stories that don't involve Ash before. It's just a matter of, will this new series hit the same way? Will they be able to actually say goodbye to Ash? That's yet to be seen. But with all that being said, I am kind of sad to see Ash go, but all good things must come to an end. Pokemon is not going. As much as I would like Pokemon to live on forever, well beyond my time, I've always thought, will I actually one day be in the nursing home playing Pokemon still? Is that a reality to the world? I don't know, and I don't think so. Eventually, Pokemon itself will probably come to an end. And it will be a sad day, but it will be a day that we have to acknowledge. I mean, there's no way. I'm the same. I'm a few months younger than the Pokemon franchise itself. Like the Pokemon games itself, I'm a few months younger than them. So I have watched this story play out my entire life, and it's sad to see it go. But I've also thought, will I ever be sitting in a nursing home still watching Ash? I thought, is this actually a reality? No. Eventually things will come to an end. It'll have to come to an end, and I'm kind of sad to see it go. But 'tis the reality of the world. And with that, guys, let me get your thoughts down in the comments below. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. Share it out with your friends. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell for every time I put out a new video and go live. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye for now.